All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, and we're back for another edition of the PGA Show. Got Hoopster here with me. Going to break down all things for the AMEX this week. We've got a 3-day cut event, right? We're going to play 3 courses. Going to talk about that. We're going to go through all the tiers, breakdown. We'll bring up DGen's notes again, have some fun with that. But we appreciate everybody being here. Make sure to smash the like on the way in. Subscribe to the channel. Almost at 9,500 subscribers. And when we get to 10,000, we're giving away the $1,000 membership to SHIPITNation.com. Hoopster, bring you in. We're coming off a big week. Golf, NFL, everything. It's been awesome over the nation. The community just crushed over this past weekend.
Yeah, huge week. I mean, NFL, PGA, we had big wins in UFC as well, just kind of hitting on all cylinders right now. And, we're obviously going to get into it and talk through it, but we launched a nice little promo to give everyone a chance to go ahead and try out our all access. We understand some people are PGA only, some people are NFL, some people, use it for a variety of reasons, but we want to give everyone a chance to, use our full encompassing product for the lowest price that we're ever going to offer. So, kind of one last chance to get in, code SHIPIT50, and that gets you access to everything on our site, including the Shiptimizer. So it's $50 off your first payment. So basically for $49 in the first month, you'll get access to everything. This will take you all the way through the Super Bowl as well, which is key. So all our content through the Super Bowl, NBA, if you're into that, PGA Showdown, big UFC card this weekend. So it's the best deal that we've ever offered. And it's just kind of a little bit of a celebration for the success that we've had over the course of, really since we've launched. We've had a ton of success, but we kind of heated up recently. So I want to get everyone a chance to get in at the lowest rate.
Yeah, code SHIP50. Just to note, I had a few people reach out, just as put it back up for 2 seconds. It's only on all access monthly. When you go to the site, SHIPITNation.com/join, or you go to the site and click join the nation, you just go to the $99 monthly plan and click in this code for SHIP50 and you get it for $49. Well, what about golf? What about it's cheaper than everything and gets you everything. That's kind of the whole point, right? You get to check out everything we have to offer. You'll get golf for all these weeks upcoming, the Showdown Classic. You'll get all the playoffs, Super Bowl, and also just a bonus, everybody that enters the code SHIP50 and gets in now, bring it up again later for those coming in late, but just so you know, everybody that enters goes into a draw. Hoop, myself, and our guy Hamwich are doing a big NFL show on Saturday for the 4-gamer, and we will be giving away a $555 ticket to the NFL Millie Maker this Saturday. Somebody that enters code SHIP50 will be the winner. So it's for new members. We had our members only contest and gave away a $555 ticket last night in Discord. Hoopster hopped in and gave some more PayPal money away from his own pocketbook. He's always good for that. And I think we'll have some more giveaways this week as well that we're going to do for members. So time to get in is now. Hoop, let's get into it, man. A little bit of golf talk here. Big news off the top. I know it came out super early, which is better than coming out late, but we got it, early on here. Shout out to our guy. Where's he at here? I saw him, Ross. He'll be the first to let us know when we get to the content on Ship It Nation about our tier rankings. Who's it going to be, Hoop, above 10K? Do you like JT or Sungjae? Because Xander WD. So there's only 2 guys above 10K this week. Denny McCarthy WD'd. He was in the field at 7,700. So we've already seen some movement on that. But I know a ton of Ship It Nation members in on the big Sam Burns golf bets. Don't want to segue too far down the golf bet streets, do we? But if we did, a lot of our members got in on the Sam Burns number, and it got cratered once Xander WD'd.
Yeah, the PGA sports betting community is not a fan of Hoop at this point. You gotta call people out when there's some shit, and like that sports betting tout, like just on the sports betting side, drives me nuts. And it goes back to last season. Don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but man, it's what you're gonna see every Sunday evening. Like every single Sunday evening, these guys are victory lapping whoever won. It doesn't matter who wins. You'll see it this Sunday. I promise you. It does not matter who wins the American Express golf event. Every single guy out there in the sports betting PGA industry will be pretending like they told you to bet them. They'll be victory lapping it, but yet you never see any ticket that says they actually bet it to win. So it's super annoying. But they're coming at me now. Like they got the big dogs after me on Twitter. So I'm fighting the good fight. I'm going to keep it going. But it is very irritating to say the least.
Yeah, I think there was some good comments. Like people say, like it's almost better when people will show their $5 or $10 ticket.
Yeah.
Like, no one's shaming you for the amount you're betting. It's not that part of it. It's did you actually bet it? And they say, well, it only matters if you said it before. But like a lot of people say a lot of things. That's if we could just victory lap everything we said for DFS, I've won the Millie Maker like 10 times because I've had a ton of the plays correct. I just didn't put them all together correctly. I didn't actually put my money in the right way on those options. So that's the difference.
And the thing is, like they'll say, oh, I bet this guy 50-1 and he won. So they're implying that they bet that. But if they bet their entire card, they have 20 picks on there and they bet all those picks, all those other 19 bets lose. So even if you did hypothetically bet it and you hit the 50-1, it's really not 50-1 because you had 19 other losers to go along with it. It's like, it's crazy. I mean, you definitely should not be paying for PGA sports betting picks. Like I'll tell you that much. Do not invest in PGA sports betting information. Please don't do that.
This is a good one from Kenny, by the way. That was another thing. On top of all the cash that people won last week, we got 9 members, myself included in that 9. So 9 of us from SHIPIT Nation through to round 2.
Titles hosting.
What's that?
I said Titles hosting.
Yeah, Title will be down there.
Sleep over at Titles.
So NFL and PGA both went off last week. It was the top 50 of 150 move on, and there's 9 of us through to this round. We got to get in the top 20 this week. So 20 of 50 on both the PGA side of things and the NFL side of things. And everybody meets up there for the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So should be a good time. Hopefully we can get through this week and get as many of us down there as possible. And then, we'll get title hosting. Like you said, we'll get a big SHIPIT party going, get some cash infusion of everything rolling for everybody down there. But it is where we had the SHIPIT party last year. So it would be nice to run it back. So let's get into this one, Hoop. Is there anything off the top? We're going to keep the GSO rolling right out of the football streets into the golf streets, the grand scheme overview. Anything you do differently to handle an event like this, whether it's per classic slate, do you play more showdown because of the course rotation? Anything to do with the course rotation and or the Pro-Am 3-round cut, everything different, a little bit different than a normal event?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I mean, I know a lot of people like to use statistics and numbers and dive into the field in that manner, but it is very difficult on these rotations, especially a 3-course rotation. I mean, the one thing that I am going to take away from it's an easy course. You're going to have to, or an easy event. You're going to have to make birdies. So you need somebody that can win at a birdie fest. That's my main takeaway. Very hard to really like dive in and analyze the situation too deep, knowing, let's say you're on one course that like the easy course, maybe one day it's windier on that portion of the course and you get a bad draw on the easy course, the day that you're supposed to go super, super low. Like it's just so hard. So the one thing that I'm definitely leaning into is it's just you're going to have to make birdies. Isn't this the course where John Rahm got super tilted about it? Didn't he say it's just a putting contest, nothing else matters when he was walking off? Is it this event?
Yeah, I believe it was Mexico Open. I got to remember if it's correctly or not, but I thought it was that.
Yeah, super tilted. He's like, oh, this is just a putting contest anyway. I don't know. I could have swore it was this one, but I could be wrong. But the other big takeaway for this week is Xander WDing after the pricing on DraftKings came out. So he was the most expensive guy at 11.4. He WDs. The pricing's already out. So the highest price on the slate is 10.4. And I know for a fact right out of the gate what that is going to do is make a lot of people avoid the lower price golfers. Like the 6K range is probably going to be pretty much avoided because you just don't need to go down there when you build your team. So if you do like someone a lot that's cheap, like there's going to be very low ownership. I mean, a lot of people will likely be finishing in the 7K range. I mean, if Xander WDs before the pricing comes out, Justin Thomas is more expensive. Sanjay Im is more expensive. Sam Burns, everyone's getting a boost of probably $400 to $500. to a certain degree. Once you start to get into the 8K, the 7K, it's not going to affect them. It affects the guys at the top. So you're kind of getting a little bit of a deal essentially on the top end golfers in the field. So that's definitely another thing that stands out when kind of breaking down this event.
Yeah, I was checking a couple things while you were talking there about it, and it was this one that was the John Rahm
situation.
Yeah. So it's the same. I was thinking Mexico because that's when he was always the huge favorite at. But
yeah,
note last week because I said my boy Hoop was straying off his usual strategy. You were wanting to get all these 8K guys in last week. Now maybe this week is the week to do that because last week the winner had Hideki at 11K and 5 guys in the 7K range, and then whoever this loser is that came in second had Hideki with a 9K and 7K guys. So it wasn't needed last week in that range, but I think you nailed it with talking about the Xander thing this week and how it affects ownership. I was looking at it previous just to hopping on here. So the other good thing is you just talked a little bit about having that information and needing to know it all. I read the best thing today. You know, I'm always in the marketing streets and reading these sayings and quotes. And someone said there was a quote, and it was, if information was all we needed, we'd all be billionaires with perfect abs, right? Because you can just go buy the book. You'll be a billionaire. You get a 6-pack. You can do all that stuff. It's the same for DFS, but it's what they said is you're paying for packaging, speed, implementation, accountability. Like if you need to know the weather fast and what round to handle this in Showdown and how does this change for this event? What does that mean for the pricing? All of that. That's what it reminded me of, something like with SHIPIT Nation, where when you're there in that Discord, we have all the information like that. And you've got DGen's notes, which we'll bring up in a little bit, and the scorecard, the stone. It's really about having it all packaged together in one place. And that's what you made me think of, because I don't know what it's going to be like Saturday on the stadium course when guys are rounding out round 3 of their event and all of that yet. Nobody can tell you that, but we're going to build accordingly and look towards that. So is there anything you want to add before we get into sort of going through these tiers and bringing up some of these notes and whatnot?
No, yeah, let's dive in.
All right, let me go here and bring it up. If you want to talk about the upper range, I mean, just one note, because you just mentioned it earlier, but only JT and Sung Jae up top. You already talked a little bit about the roster construction, but maybe bring in those 9K guys, because if you include Cam Young and above, it's just 10 guys who to talk about there.
Yeah, so I think, what we're going to end up seeing in terms of ownership, like Wyndham Clark and above, all those guys in my eyes probably end up getting ownership. It's going to be easy to play them. JT at 10-4, Sung Jae at 10-3, Sam Burns at 9-8, Cantlay at 9-6, Finau 9-5, Wyndham Clark at 9-4. I think everyone looks at those guys as golfers that could potentially win this event. It's going to be easy to play them. It's going to be easy to play multiple of these guys in that range. Like, if you go and plug in the 3 cheapest in that range, you can go Wyndham Clark, Finau, Cantlay, and you can still avoid the 6K range. You're basically right around 7,200 left per golfer. A lot of ownership I anticipate comes from this range because it's all the names in this event, and it's easy to play 2 and in some cases 3 of these guys. So, for me, my preference, Wyndham Clark stands out. I mean, I think last year might have been like a little bit of a down year, but 94 for him. The nice thing about him is when it's on, he has a chance to win and he'll go out there and compete. And we've seen spike rounds where he goes super, super low. So I do really like him. I like Burns. I like him and JT as well. Cantlay is the one that kind of scares me a little bit, but I do think that the main takeaway is it's going to be those guys, Tom Kim, Grazerman. People are going to look at Grazerman at 9,200 and say, man, do I really want to play him at 92? If I pay $200 more, I can get Wyndham Clark. So Grazerman should be relatively low owned. I think Siwoo probably gets squeezed a little bit here. And then Cam Young at 9K, coming off an 8th place finish last time out, his ownership could be down a little bit, but I really think Wyndham Clark and above is where a lot of people want to start. And you can start with multiple of those guys. And like I said, in some cases, you can start with 3 of those guys. So I do think it's a starting point for a majority of lineups. And yeah, opposite definitely for me this week, where I do want to start with one of those guys. The win equity up here just seems very, very high compared to guys in the 8K range.
Yeah, anybody can get there. We saw some of these guys contending last week when we get to the 8Ks, the Spawns, the Dunlaps of the world, all of those guys. But you mentioned you can literally fit 3 of these guys up here, no problem. Like a guy like Grazerman or Tom Kim, who nobody really probably loves at those prices. I mean, the ownership's already going to be somewhere 15% plus just because it's easy to get to them. But I'm saying people feel a lot better if that's their 3rd guy in. versus, you could start Sam Burns, like Sungjae, Sam Burns feels like a popular start. I don't know. Kenny mentioned that Burns is going to be super high owned. He's definitely going to be high owned, but I think Sungjae takes a lot of that away. I definitely think people like Sungjae and JT up above. JT finishing third here last year. Sungjae's got really solid course history and has started to show signs of life again lately. I'm going to be interested in Sungjae always, but I think it's easy to start like a Sungjae Burns or a JT Burns or something like that. So while Burns will get ownership, I think it'll be held in check a little bit against the guys above him. He may end up with more than JT by the time that everything's said and done. I actually feel like more people will end up on Sungjae than JT early on here, Hoop. That's just my first thoughts. One thing about Cantlay, I don't know if it's going overlooked or not. I don't think it is. The ownership still shows there, but I typically do like Cantlay on some of these easier courses, and it's out in Cali and all that. Like I just could see if it is going to be Burns and Clark and Im and JT that people go to. It's not like nobody's going to play Cantlay, but I'll be playing Cantlay regardless of what the ownership is, and then find my way around from there. And I did see this too. It's all Kenny in the chat. Shout out to everybody. There's lots of good people out here posting stuff, but just his points here. This is one thing I've seen, which was surprising at a $9,200 price tag. But I guess maybe it's just the stats and what.
I get that. I think it personally comes back though, and one thing as well, a lot of people are not following golf, in that fall swing. So yeah, the people that are in like the higher stakes stuff that Kenny plays in, he might get some steam, but in like the standard contest, I can't imagine people are clicking his name over some of these other guys like Cantlay, Burns, Wyndham, Finau even.
I agree. And our guy DJ will be back tomorrow night with the Wednesday night stream, the emergency stream, where he'll have Moonwalk and Steam and all of that. And I could definitely see whatever people think Grazerman's at could be something that Moonwalk's back. I like this one, can't stand lay, but also the point. Loves the Pro-Am formats because his slow ass gets to play at his preferred pace. Yeah, pretty funny. I'm not a TGL fan, but all the guys calling out the shot clock last week on the debut of it, where they're like, give us that, please. They're all thinking about Cantlay.
Got to do something like that in golf. I definitely agree. And a quick funny story about Cantlay. I was sweating golf, a PGA lineup or PGA lineups at my parents' house. This is maybe like 2 years ago. I can't remember the event, can't remember the scenario. And I needed Cantlay, and he was just sucking in round 4, just couldn't do anything. And my mom, she's sitting there watching, so she nicknamed him Can't Play, because he tanked my lineup. So she calls him Can't Play. So anytime I'm watching golf, she's like, "Oh, is Can't Play in the field? Is he playing this week?" So I thought that was kind of funny.
Can't Play, yeah.
That's play.
Another one. And Can't Putt people have when he's not making the putts and all that stuff.
He is a frustrating guy to watch when you need him to do well and he's not doing well. It's very, very frustrating. Like very frustrating.
Yeah, excels at par 70s and weak in no cut events and par 72s from California. Form player, all these things and more. And the people are making fun of Luke Clanton here, so he looks like a Roblox character. Some of the pictures are pretty wild, but this is amazing addition to the site. I know a lot of good feedback after we showed it off last week. A lot of people signed up and said this is just another reason to add on. You still get the scorecard, you get Lee Aldrich's course fit rankings, which have been dialed in, and his value report, Lee Aldrich's value report last week, all 6 of them made the cut. So all 6 really strong values through on the week, tier rankings. The Stone, of course, all the showdown stuff is there. So let's keep it moving. Let's talk a little bit about this 8K range. And I do think you're right. This week, it's the same type of thing. It's just 10 golfers, but I don't know if any. Maybe Kitayama, who's getting a little steam, but maybe he's the only one that crosses 15% here. What do you think ends up happening? And then what's sort of your thought process on how you can handle these guys?
Yeah, just comparing them to the 9Ks. I mean, they got to be much lower owned to those 9K guys. Like there's just no way around it. Those are all those guys in the upper 9K range are the names of this field. And you can obviously throw in JT and M as well, because they're just super easy to play this week because of basically this is very, very soft pricing with the Xander WD. All those guys in the upper 9s, mid to upper 9s would be, again, much more expensive. So you're going to see a lot of people flock there and probably overlook the 8K range. And for me personally, when I look at this 8K range, it's all the guys at the bottom that I seem to have more interest in here out of the gate. I'm fine going back to Nick Taylor. I mean, we talked about Nick Taylor last week. Did not take the victory lap on Twitter after the 125-1 hit. You obviously could. You're the one that could justifiably take the victory lap because he won you $40,000 essentially in your golf lineup. Obviously, you had the other 5, but everyone bet Nick Taylor last week for 125-1, and I'll tell you right now, whoever wins this week, they're going to be victory lapping Sunday evening that they bet them. I mean, it is like clockwork. You guys just watch, and you'll be just as fucking annoyed as I am. And the worst part about it is, like, it shouldn't bother me at all. I was sweating $200,000 NFL win, and I'm tweeting about these guys victory lapping PGA outrights. Like, that's how messed up I am. Like, that shouldn't even factor into my day on Sunday evening. And these guys are like living rent free in Hoops Head. I gotta shake it though. I definitely gotta shake it because it's not worth it. Sweating $200,000 NFL winners, and these guys are tilting me to the point where I have to put tweets out. Like, I rarely tweet, and man, it's definitely a problem. All right, now we're back. But I prefer the bottom range here, like Nick Taylor, Fishburne. Fishburne's been solid. Harmon, Eric Cole, Zalatoris. I'm gonna keep playing Zalatoris. Like, it can't be as bad as it was last year. Injury obviously derailed him. It's taken him a while to get back. Had some good rounds last week. Where did he finish? 26. Like, I'm gonna continue to give him chances. And then when you get to the uppers, like, I don't necessarily need to play Davis Thompson or Hall or Kitayama or Spawn. I prefer the guys in the lower 8K range. And, I don't know where ownership's falling on all those guys, but to me, it's definitely those lower 8K guys that I have interest in opposed to the uppers.
I'm going to, again, early Tuesday, but I'm going to probably talk more about this tomorrow too and just look into it. But I definitely would say I'm looking to zig when others zag. Kenny just brought this up again, and I definitely think people think like this. It's, the guys at the top are too good, and therefore you can fit everybody. Like, you can get it all in. If I was going up top, I would try and jam like 4 of those guys and then drop down and find 2 guys that are going to play 3 full rounds and then make the cut that way. If I was zigzagging up top.
And it is a pseudo no cut event. I mean, you're just missing out on one round. You can still, if you're not in like the lottery, if you're in a smaller field contest, you can still win with 5 guys making the cut this week.
Yeah, I mean, all I was going to say though, this 8K range that's just getting thrown under the bus by everybody because it's like we've got Tony Finau, known phenom, and Sam Burns, like someone said, prime Tiger, all these things versus Harry Hall playing phenomenal golf right now. JJ Spawn, 3rd last week. Dunlap, winner here last year, 10th last week. Kitayama has upside. Eric Cole, Fishburne, Taylor just won. The 8K range is actually loaded for a shitty field and easy courses, easy event. It's just going to be automatic that people can get to those guys up top. So I definitely am not shying away from the 8K range. You're allowed to play Sam Burns with 3 8K guys. If you can literally sit back and say, I can play 3 or 4 9K guys this week and get away with it, then imagine what you can do if you play a 10K guy and 3 8Ks or something. You can clearly do whatever you want. So I'm just saying, it's funny enough that last week people wanted guys in this range. All these dudes almost came through if they played, pretty much all of them, or they've had success or been able to. And this is a perfect event for them. So I'm definitely hoping that this range goes completely overlooked. That's going to be how you get unique in tournaments. And it worked last week. It'll probably work, a lot this season, where people just worry too much about the names and the numbers, and they don't just play the game of DFS. And so for me, that's what I'm going to be doing. I do think this range has a ton of options. And, Nick Taylor, 8,000 coming off the win. I know, it feels like he'll be kept in check just because he's coming off a win. It even goes the same hoop when you get to this upper 7K range. Like Nicolas lost in the playoff. He's 7,900, right below Taylor. So I guess that would just lead. Any additional thoughts on that? I'll see what the chat thinks, and then go into the upper 7s if you want.
Yeah, I have to imagine Echeverria is popular. I mean, the guy's been on a heater, played well last week, 7,900. Very cheap. Yeah, kind of interesting. Him 79, then Taylor 8K. They're back to back in the pricing spectrum. Always interested in guys like Poston, Griffin, Hoagie. Seems like a spot where Adam Hadwin could pop up and play well. Cam Davis, I think, is a fine option.
Adam Hadwin's history here, his event history.
Is it good or bad?
It's like the best in the field.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
He could pop up. It's been a place that he's most certainly.
Yeah, I get these weird things and they kind of stick in my head, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I mean, there's options here, and just to kind of piggyback what you're saying about the 8K range. I mean, you can conceivably build a team where you don't go below 8K. Like you could play 6 guys 8K and above, which is pretty interesting. And I don't think a lot of people do it. Like a lot of people are going to start at the top because that's where all the household names are. But definitely don't mind some guys here. Once you get into the lower sevens, I think it does drop off quite a bit. I do think there's a big difference between the upper sevens and the lower sevens in terms of just overall talent. So like Echeverria, Poston, Griffin, Hoagie, Hadwin, probably my favorites up here.
Yeah, I think if you were playing some of these guys, you always talk about this a ton, but like keep riding your guys is like Poston last week did not come through. We were talking about how he used to be up in the 9K range and maybe we'd play him because of that reason. I was fine with that. Didn't work out, but just bouncing back here this week, I could see it. So Poston's right there at 7,800. I think Johnny Vegas is a guy that I was looking at. It was a couple events ago. I think he had a 4th place, but just in general, some of the other, courses that people look at and Pete Dye stuff, runs that he makes at the Players, things like that. So I think Johnny Vegas at 7,600 is interesting. Lee Hodges at 7,500 was another guy I was looking at. So, few options here, but like you said, I think it's all how you build your lineups. If I'm willing to play, 3 of these 8K guys and 1 above, I could still land in this range just fine. So I think some of these dudes also, one guy I heard some feelings last week that I was looking at here was Cam Davis. Another guy still just 7,600. Him, Straka got a price bump down. Not the greatest finish for Straka, just 30th place last week. But these prices are all more than fair. Bez at 7,600. So I think there's 5 or 6 guys in this upper 7K range alone that you could get to. And then it works both ways. In my builds that I'm going to embrace the 8K range and play it, then I can land on these as my finishing spot. If I'm going to skip the 8K range, maybe these are my 4th or 5th golfers in, and I still have to go a little bit lower. But this is definitely a range I've still got interest in here, and it looks like this will be where the ownership goes for most of the builds. I don't see very many people very many golfers below 7,600 that have any early ownership thoughts. A lot of 5-6% who, anything else there? If not, take us into the bottom sevens.
Yeah, to me, it falls off quite a bit. Like guys that I am interested in, Meisner, Novak. I'm always interested in Mark Hubbard, especially at Birdie Fest. I think he's a fine option. Patrick Rogers, Andrew Putnam, Chris Kirk, Rico Hoey, 7K flat for both those guys. Svensson in there, Highsmith. There's options down here. Obviously more risky. Like I said, I definitely prefer those guys in the upper sevens. That is probably where the ownership is going, though, upper sevens. So I will be mixing in some of these guys in the lower sevens, but I'm not as interested in these guys as I am in the uppers. But yeah, those are the guys that I feel best about that I'll be playing this week.
Yeah, this was the case last year. Shout out to Ross. That was what it was when Dunlap won. This was where he won as the amateur, and then Bez got.
Oh, that's stupid. That's dumb. That he wins it and can't get the money. Like, who cares? That's stupid. That's a dumb rule.
I don't know how you look at it. Like, what would be the DFS comparison? Because you get everything else, right? That comes with it. You get all you're set for the future now, right? So it's like you're trading the Millie Maker win, but in return,
it is not applicable at all because there's no benefit to winning a Millie Maker unless you actually get the $1 million that come along with it.
Yeah, I think, but like, what did he get right away? Like, look at this sponsorship he's got: Union Home Mortgage. He doesn't get the win. I highly doubt Union Home Mortgage is stepping up to the plate.
Yeah, so I mean, the win definitely still benefited him, but it's like, give the dude his money. I don't care like what age he is. Like if a 15-year-old goes out and wins on the PGA Tour, pay the dude. Like pay him his money. If
you beat all these people in their game, it's like the kid playing poker with his dad or something. Then the table, and then dad's like, "Yeah, but you don't get to have the money. But congrats, you learned how to beat these guys at poker." It's like, come on, hook the kid up. He won the money. He's not gonna, he's gonna spend it on whatever else. I know he gets a great future ahead, but give him everything else that comes with it. I agree. So many sticky old rules that who knows what
terrible. But I do agree with you though. They got to get something going with like the speed of the game a little bit. I think it would definitely improve the overall experience. Got to pick it up like a little bit. Like some of these guys, like the Cantlays and players like that, it worked well for baseball. I mean, look at baseball. I mean, they put that pitch clock out there, and it's actually way more enjoyable to watch baseball or go to a game. It's nonstop action, none of the bullshit. The breaks are limited. Like, I think they should definitely look into doing it for PGA as well.
And we appreciate this, Nicholas. It's not, we're hoops out here holding people accountable, but it just is noted. It's not about how much you bet.
It's for the people, and it's for the people that are charging for their picks. Like, if you're charging for your picks and you're going to victory lap all the wins, let's see it. Let's see where it's at. Let's see it.
Yeah, credibility factor. So, I think this is another thing though, Hoop. So, just going back to it, last week, the lineup that I actually had that came second for the 40 grand had Hideki at big ownership. It had Henley at big ownership, but then it was, shout out to our guy, Nick. I know he's in here somewhere, but I remember this very show last week. He asked, how's that dork sponsored by DeWalt? I said, because he's a tool. That's exactly right. But dad jokes.
Who is it? Cantlay?
I think Cantlay. Yeah. So
DeWalt, yeah.
But to note it was, again, I got those guys. He said, I'm just going to play all the lower owned guys in the 7K range. It's not like you still have to build accordingly. And that may just happen to end up on the right guys. But this is another prime spot here, Hoop, where you're able to get pretty much anyone. Like last week, everybody wanted Meisner, Hubbard, Gim, Horschel, Rogers, Glover, Putnam. Putnam looks good here. Alex Smalley. I think the one that might get the steam, at least my early look, is Glover and then Sam Stevens. Those are two guys that look like they're going to get a little bit of ownership here. But again, it's not going to be very much. And you can still put other low options around it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Typically, what you'll see in these full field events, like when you get to the 7K range, there's going to be a couple guys that get any substantial ownership. So if you're doing anything else besides that, you're doing something different, and that's going to be the case. When you get to the majors, where we have the 7K range and it's absolutely loaded with studs and household names, then you got to look a little deeper into it. But these full field events, non-major events, like, you avoid a couple dudes down there with ownership and you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm going to show off real quick too, just so people see it. I know we had the notes up there, but just another edition. If you weren't with us last week watching the show, or if you're new to the channel, we appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed. All these shows are free. Like the show helps us out. That's our sort of support system here. But just of note, like, we have all this stuff covered. This is DGen's scorecard, where you've actually got all the golfers. It denotes if they're on live. It talks about their strokes gained, off the tee, approach, around the green, putting, off the tee detail for distance and accuracy, their approach detail, putt detail, all broken down, the types of greens and how they perform. And then it's, like it says here, compared to their own baseline. It's taking all the stats and we keep it updated and everything going with it. And it tells you where they are above or below their baseline for things that you'd be looking for. So this is just another tool. If you're on mobile, you've got the PDF version of it, but this is the one that you want to check out. This is a week that there's just a ton of good stuff going on. So if you want to get in over to SHIPIT Nation, now's the time. This will end on Saturday. We're giving away the ticket that goes with it on Saturday. So I'll break it down one more time, but the code is SHIP50. It is the $99 all access with Shiptimizer, our main monthly plan. You get it for $49, which is less than our golf membership only, less than anything else that you can find really on our site, less than our content only package, no optimizer. This will allow you to check it all out. And then you get entered in a draw for a $555 NFL Millie Maker ticket. We'll be giving it away here on this channel on Saturday at, I believe, 11 a.m. Eastern is the show time. So this Saturday, Hoop, Hamwich, and myself, you get access to everything there. And then big month ahead, like Hoop said, we have a huge MMA event this weekend. We've been crushing in MMA since inception. Title and Marley do an incredible job over there. Rio, BJ, Ham, the rest of the team in the streets, Title over in NBA, Nades with NHL. You get all the PGA stuff we talked about. And then NFL, you're going to get past the Super Bowl because February 9th is the Super Bowl. So that now's the time to get in. Use code SHIP50. Back to this lower 7K range, Hoop. I'm going to be just mixing in these guys because there's so many potentials, like Kevin Yu, Keith Mitchell, back to the well, Mac Meisner, just all these options. So I don't know exactly. We'll have our tier rankings up and get to where I actually land with my exposures. But I think for now, I'm just looking at this range as going pretty much completely overlooked, and you can play whoever you want in here. The bigger decision will be what you're doing up top and where it lands you, because it looks like to me, and I talk about this in the slate plan when it comes back around over at SHIPIT Nation, but it looks like the 76 to 7,900 range is going to be super popular compared to the 7,500 down to 7K range.
Yeah, that just has to be the case. I mean, just look at the names, and there's fewer golfers up there, so it's going to be concentrated regardless, because there's just fewer options when they kind of land there in their lineup. So yeah, upper sevens and be much higher owned than the lowers for sure.
And Nick is back. We going back. Remember, your guy is Landa. Maybe Nick's my guy. Landa came through for you. Got you the 100K on Sunday. He's talking about being hand in hand on the Philly D. Maybe we go back to low sevens. I like this call. It's like there is so many guys down there. Yeah. So instead of, like I said, we get shit if we name too many. We get shit if we don't name enough. But as I always say, it's not who you play. It's how you play them. That last week, 2 high-owned guys, Hideki and Henley, and then 4 low-owned 7K guys. There's just a ton of options down here. Shout out to our guy, Rin. Maybe we even get a little EVR action in at 7,100. I don't know.
Is he in the field?
He is, 7,100.
71. What did he do last week?
I'd have to go back and look here just to see.
Someone will get it in the chat.
30. He's like a steady Eddie lately, but he has have a 6th and 25th here the last 2 years. Last week, was 30th. So similar to, he put up Straka numbers last week, and he's priced less than Straka now. So maybe you could look at it that way. But there's a lot of guys down here. Rico Hoey had a good week last week.
I like him. I like him this week for sure.
Yeah. There's a few different options down here, and even maybe I switch to another Canadian boy. Maybe I go to Adam Svensson. Go back to him. Yeah. Well, what did he end up finishing? I know he was in the field last week, but what did it end up finishing? 30th as well. All these guys everybody finished 30th.
Yeah, it must have been a huge tie for 30th.
Yeah, everybody finished 30th. Kuchar finished 21st. There's a few other guys down here. Schenk, by the way, who nobody wanted. Usually your boy, Adam Schenk.
Yeah. Well,
nobody wanted him last week, and he ended up coming in 6th place. So interesting note there. But let's go into the 6th. He's right there.
Yeah, start right with him. Start with him right at the top. Yeah, definitely fine with him. Kuchar, I don't typically play a lot of, but I'd be fine playing Kuchar. 6,900, easy course. Like, I'm totally fine going with a guy like him. Carson Young, I typically take some flyers on. Mine and Kenny's boy Silverman, 6,600. I'll always get a little bit of him. But is this a Manacero guy? Wasn't he the one that was on like a little bit of a heater last year?
Yeah,
am I making that up?
Now and again, I don't know if I have his full history here in front of me.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
He's got decent 17th and 30th, things like that in there. But I don't know if he's going to need it here. At
Jake
this one.
Nav's down here, Ben Coles. There's guys. The main thing is though, it's like you don't need to come down here when you build teams. Like you just don't need to do it. All these guys I think will be low owned for that reason. It's very easy. Like if you can play 3 9K guys and you don't need to touch this range, you can play 4 or 5 8K guys and you don't need to touch this range. So should be completely overlooked and don't force it. Like don't just play guys down here. If you're playing a guy down here, you should really like them because you just don't need to do it for roster construction this week. So that's my main takeaway. We'll have obviously our final thoughts and the tier rankings and all that, but should be everyone down here will be low on because when you go to build teams, it's just not necessary.
Some of these guys we won't have in there yet. Like Rosner wouldn't be one that would make it in. We are updating it as we go. But if you guys want to throw some golfers in there in the 6K range, and we could pull up some of the notes. I know Griot was just mentioned. Weak in no cut events. It's not a no cut, so it's kind of a pseudo one, like you mentioned, but great ball striker, terrible around the green, putting even worse, prefer at harder courses. That would be an example, right, where you can just look something up and then you can take it over. Here, go to this tab. I'm just going to quickly do it, but you can type in Griot, go down and start to see it across, right? You can see what all his numbers look like. You'll be able to download the XLSX file if you want to just get it down to sort of a player pool of guys and then keep this locked in or something where you can set it up. We're working on that as well, but just to say it, you'd be able to go through and see his grades along the way. But if you guys have other golfers you want us to check the notes out on, you could let us know. Well, I'm just going to run through it here quickly. But just some ones I marked off early. I don't play all these guys hoop, but if I'm looking at certain different roster constructions or what does it look like if I play 2 $6,900 guys, and like some of them will get a little steam. Like Lauer is going to get a little steam for the 6K range, which typically you can avoid. But you mentioned, we talked a little bit about Schenk. Lauer was a guy there. Someone mentioned Matt McCarty. Do you play Matt McCarty or Max McGreevy? Same price. That's the question of the week. So I would probably lean away from both, but just to look at it there. Vince Whaley.
That used to be my boy, man. What's he been up to, Whaley?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen too much on him lately. Like he's, before the 72nd, it looks like he had some good results, but last week didn't do much. 34th here last year. His history here is 34th, 29th, 40th. And he can score a little bit at 6,800. Those aren't the best results, but the potential could be there. So we'll see. Kuchar is down here as well. He was another guy I was looking at up at the top. What did Charlie Hoffman ended up finishing at last week? That was a call, 59th. Not great yet. And not super excited about that. I was looking up Sam Ryder, 21st last week. He had a 5th and a 30th recently. I think Sam Ryder at 6,700 was someone else I had. And who's the other guy? I can't, not him. Nate Lashley. That was the other guy I was going to look up. Nate Lashley. 37th last week. Let's go back to, let me see if there's any Lashley notes. Yeah, there he is. Look at this guy.
He's got that Rocket Mortgage shirt on. Look at that. Not
well in weak fields. So good for 3 sneaky high results all season. Not sure if it'll be here because if you go back, miscut, withdraw. So yeah, I'm not excited about that. Who are some of the guys that they've got here for us that they want me to look up?
Kuchar.
Round 2, struggles in strong fields. May have one last run in his career, can get roasty hot with the putter. Prefer at short strategic courses. And then what did, let me just pair it with some of the stuff I've got up here, just looking at some of the history. So 21st last week, missed the cut here last year. Who else do they got?
Taylor Montgomery, putter, really good putter, but I think that's about it. I don't know. Does he do anything else well?
If it ever shows up. Might be broken. Yeah. Worst off the tee player on tour. Amazing putting and around the green. Struggles with 200+ yard approach shots. Play him in the swing season. Birdie Fest.
All right.
I literally never play him, says DGen. Probably be doing okay if you never play him, but
yes.
He did have a 5th year.
He had a run. I don't know. It wasn't last year, maybe the year before, where he was in play, where he was decent. Brendan Todd, they're looking at. Yeah,
this guy has terrible history here. Terrible last week. Hurt my feelings in some good ones, but luckily made it out okay. But consistent on easy courses. Strong in weak fields. I mean, these things would kind of line up early. Bottom 10 in the distance, good top 10 percentage. Par machine. That's not, thrilling at this course, but makes a lot of cuts, but not great at DK points. So looking at stuff like that, that's what always gets me. So just his last 6-7 results that you're seeing of miscut, 57, 70, that aligns. And you look 2 of the last 3 years he's played here, miscut. He only played it 2 times in the last 3 years. So just looking at some things like that, it's always a bit tricky. This was noted last week too, and I thought he was going to do a lot more. He just made the cut, didn't come through, Taylor Montgomery, but he was in there last week. Nick says I was ready to go to the McCreevy party. Yeah, you could have played them all if Danny McCarthy didn't bail. Who else? Yeah. Anybody else here? I don't see any. Svensson was brought up earlier. Just let me look at Svensson real quick here just to see, because I brought him up too. The other Canadian, man. Maybe we get on a different Canadian this week.
Let's go.
Good ball striker, horrific putter, can implode with the best of them. Struggles on long courses and par 72s and no cut events. So, and then you go here. What do we got on Svensson? Not Jesper. Adam. 30th last week. Limited history here. So yeah, it's just a shot you could take. But at the price tag, I don't completely hate it because I think he's 7K flat, right? When we looked at him, 7K. I don't know, like Joe Highsmith, Adam Schenk, Matt Kuchar. There's a bunch of guys around him, but I think Rico was the guy you liked. I'm not sure if we got him into the mix
I like
here.
Rico, yeah.
Do we got him yet?
Yeah, there we go.
There's Rico. Struggles on long courses, elevates on bent putting, but struggles on Bermuda, top points per dollar DK score. So I would always say this too, when I look at this stuff, like these things always outweigh a lot for me, because at that point it's your lineup does or it doesn't, right? But you're trying to put these guys in. And we had this, someone had this conversation last week in Discord. I'll bring it up quick before we do a last couple here, Hoop, but just about, they say, I never build for 6-6 because I just want guys that can score well enough to finish top in the tournament. And it ends up being a bunch of people saying the same thing in different ways, I think, because I get what they're saying. Like, they don't want to build with too many safe guys, like Brendan Todd. If he's not a high upside guy or he's not getting you the DK points, a made cut doesn't necessarily mean as much, but you still got to get 6 guys through the cut before, in most weeks, to be able to even have them reach that upside. This week, a bit different with 3 guaranteed rounds. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at finishing position. That's the main thing. You can't predict birdies or pars, you can kind of see the birdie percentage and stuff like that. But the first step to winning a GPP on DraftKings in a full field event is getting all 6 guys through. Like, obviously, to win the big stuff, you're going to have to get it. So, like, just get me all 6 through, and then we can figure out the rest. So, I mean, I get playing the safe guys, but it's PGA DFS. Nobody's really safe. I mean, nobody's safe. Yeah, Scotty Scheffler's safe every week. Some of these top end guys, after you get down to the below the top 20 dudes, nobody's safe. I mean, that's the nature of it, to be honest with you.
Well, also too, yeah, I agree 100%. And that's the other thing I was saying. Like, it's like, how are you going to get right on every golfer? Like, the whole point was, so Aaron Rye was considered safe and a loser for so long, and then he went on that run where all of a sudden he was an upside guy. He wasn't just making cuts, but he was following it up over the weekend. He wasn't necessarily getting the job done, but until he did. But the point was, he was getting into the mix a bunch. Let me just talk to a few of these real quick, and then we'll get out of here. But just let's see, a couple quick notes. So anyway, I like what I see on Rico there. Kazire, someone said his is hilarious. I play too much of this loser. Used to be great putter and winner. Struggles on par 70s and in hard scoring conditions, and can still find success at shitty events. So there's some good fun stuff in there, but I think there's always some good notes to be taken away as well. And this is a spot that you could see that. Who was somebody else? Someone just mentioned was Valley. I don't think we got him in here. Sammy Valimaki or whatever. Wacky Valimaki. Whiting, I highly doubt it. Yeah. Just a note on this though, like, I think he WD'd last week and now he's going to play, but just one guy there. And then Blades Brown, who's like, I forget how old he is, but he just, turned pro or whatever. These kids and younger guys and all that, like, you could just go all in then if you're playing them. Like, realistically, someone could have them. They could have an incredible week and it'll probably still be nowhere near the top. I always use the event that
other thing that you always bring up, it's like you still got to get everything else right too. So I mean, if you're playing I don't even know who the hell that is, Blades Brown. Like, yeah, all right. Let's say he golfs and finishes top 20. There's still 5 other spots, so it's like no guarantee, and you got to make it somewhat substantial if you're going to play him. So that's definitely a good point. Yeah,
so he's got talent for sure, 17 years old and that, but I'm just saying, again, if you don't have to go all in. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, to my point, you have to get everything else right. So make him an actual part of your player pool. I know it gets repetitive. We talk about that a lot, but new people watching, others trying to learn. I used the Malnati week when he won. He was 0.1% owned. He happened to just be in the right place on the right lineup that did get to the top, but he was in like no other lineup in the top 100. So it's just, obviously, that's a result of the score that he put up that week, and I get it, but think about how pretty much lucky that person had to be to not only have Malnati outlier at 0.1% on the week he goes off and wins, but then have the 5 other pieces correct to lead you to the top. So that's just the part I'm saying is, if you're in, make sure you're in. Don't just, I'm going to throw a Blades Brown lineup and see what happens this week. That's, to me, not necessarily the way to go, but you can do whatever you want. I just bring it up from that perspective. Any final thoughts from you, Hoop, that you've got for this week?
No, I mean, definitely play a little more aggressive. I mean, everyone's guaranteed 3 rounds. You can definitely take some chances. And the one thing that stands out, though, soft pricing. I mean, with the Xander WD, the highest price on the slate is 10-4. A lot of people are going to start Wyndham Clark and above, and probably multiple of those guys. So anything outside of that, I think, is a little bit different. But we'll have you covered tomorrow night. D-Gen's obviously going with his show, so make sure to tune into that, and then all our content will be going up from here on out, leading up to lock.
Yeah, we'll have you guys covered. Like we said, if you want to get in, now's the time to do it. Throw it up one last time, but Ship 50, it is the $99 plan that we talked about when you're on ShipItNation.com. You can check it all out. If you want to see what Shiptimizer is, just go to the tutorials. They're free to check out. If you want to see what we carry for PGA, you don't have to be a member to click PGA and see it. But if you go back, you go to join the nation, you're just going to this option right here. It only works on this one because when this drops to $49, it is $20 less than our all access package, and you get all access plus Shiptimizer. If you were like, but I just kind of wanted to see golf, it's $49 just for golf with no Shiptimizer. It's $59 with Shiptimizer. So the best deal and the way to get in is go to the monthly, use code SHIP50, and you'll be all set. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you as always. D-Gen will be back tomorrow night with the emergency stream. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it!